A Russian soldier remembers the horrors of war from the other side. He tells his story to Eyewitness News and hopes our coalition will be victorious in its mission in that rugged country.
Also tonight, charity really does begin at home. We'll see how local food drives are gearing up to meet this year's heightened demand.
And we'll meet a local boy band hoping to make it to the big time.
You're watching Eyewitness News at 11 with Gary Waddell, Paula Francis, Kevin Jennison, and Dave McCann.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
The Northern Alliance's victories are marked in blood tonight as the International Red Cross moves in to bury hundreds of Taliban soldiers.
That tops the latest news on the war on terrorism. Leaders of Afghanistan's Northern Alliance say they've sent 3,000 troops into Kabul to bring order, not to occupy it. However, many say it's a show of power that's gone too far. Meantime, the people of Kabul rejoiced in the streets when the Taliban fled. Men shaved off their beards, women unveiled their faces, while children flew kites in a once-forbidden celebration. Despite the taking of Kabul, the hunt for Osama bin Laden goes on, and military sources say the chances of finding him sooner rather than later are growing.
The U.S.-led coalition that's fighting terrorism in Afghanistan includes the Russians now.
But back in the 1980s, the Russian army fought its own enemies in Afghanistan and lost. The grueling and disastrous encounter left its mark forever on both countries and on one Russian soldier who now lives here in Las Vegas.
He talked with our Renata Troiani about what he went through, and she joins us now. Renata.
Well, Paula and Gary, that soldier spent almost 2 years in Afghanistan on the front lines. He says it's an experience he'll never forget. It's an experience he's getting ready to share with the world. It's the black and white of war.
His name is Alexander Zaychenko, and he was my friend.
It may seem like a simple black and white photo. A young soldier, barely 19 years old. But for Vladislav Tamara, this picture represents the end of innocence, the beginning of a story.
12 hours after this picture was taken, he was killed.
It's one of 78 black and white pictures Vlad took while in Afghanistan fighting for the Soviet Union. It was 1985, and he saw 217 days of combat as a minesweeper. Cameras were illegal. Vlad took pictures anyway.
I had to hold the moment, hold this part of the second to freeze it, and without any explanation, I just had to do it.
In 1999, the photographer published the pictures and a book about his experiences, about the Vietnam of the Soviet Union and the truth behind the war. Today, the book, Afghanistan, a Russian soldier's story, is being republished with different intentions.
I want people to feel it and to know it. What does it mean?
He wants people to learn from his experience in Afghanistan and war.
I find out how thin line between life and death. I find out the sound, snapping sound, which bullet makes when it hits the body. I find out too many things which I don't want to remember.
Despite his opposition to war, despite seeing many of his friends killed, Vlad believes in what the U.S. is doing.
Somebody asked me, hey, do you want to go there and help the United States? No, I don't want to go there. Anywhere where war is.
He hopes to help by showing the world a view from the eyes of someone who has been forever changed.
People will know what wars happen and what to expect.
The republished Afghanistan, a Russian soldier's story, will be in bookstores all over the country on Thursday. It's already on sale on the internet. Autographed copies are also available at 2 restaurants here in the Valley, and we will have all that information on our website, klastv.com. Very interesting man.
Fascinating.
You could sit and talk to him for hours. He's got so many stories.
And what brought him to Las Vegas?
Well, he was in California promoting his book. He wanted to write a book that was true and honest. He could do it there. Came to Las Vegas to do the same thing.
All right.
Well,
thanks, Renata.
Sure.
Investigators are analyzing a key piece of evidence tonight in the crash of American Airlines Flight 587. The black box flight data recorder was taken to Washington early today, and tonight they're analyzing it and comparing its data with the cockpit voice recorder that was found yesterday. Initial findings show the pilots were struggling for control of the plane in the seconds before it crashed.
There are several comments suggesting loss of control of the aircraft at 127 seconds after the takeoff roll initiation. And the cockpit voice recording ends at 144 seconds after the start of the takeoff roll.
and that was when the plane crashed. Investigators say preliminary tests on the black boxes should be finished tomorrow. 260 people on the plane and 5 people on the ground died in that crash.
A team of OSHA workers from Las Vegas just returned from Ground Zero in New York City. 12 workers with the Nevada branch of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration traveled to New York to make sure the work environment at the cleanup site is safe. Team members said they never imagined the enormity of the damage that was caused when the 2 hijacked planes were crashed into the World Trade Center.
It's like a war zone. I've seen war movies, and it was like a war zone. A lot of the buildings, the storefronts, the glass was broken and rubble everywhere, fires flaring up, and odors in the air.
OSHA crews from all 50 states will each spend 1 week at the site until the job is finished. If you gave money to the American Red Cross for the September 11th fund and you want it back, you'll be able to get it. The about face comes after the organization was criticized for the way it managed donations intended for victims. $121 million went to victims of the terrorist attack, but the rest went to other projects. The Red Cross says its standard policy is to refund any donation when asked.
Times are tough and charitable